Hey everybody, how you doing? Doug Barry here. Good to be with you again. Another video on what's going on in the world right now and a couple things to consider. Been doing more of these, a lot more of these lately, and plan to be doing a lot more, largely because in the 30 plus years I've been doing this type of work, traveling, speaking, evangelizing, talking about preparedness in different ways, spiritually and naturally, we are seeing things happen much differently now than ever before. So I want to encourage you all as you watch this video, and as I'm going live right now, but you watch it live or watch it in the replay, that you really look at yourself in the times that we're in and ask yourself the question, in particular, am I taking the necessary steps to be prepared for the days that are unfolding right in front of us and the days that look like are coming ahead? And as we see things in the news, and I'm going to pull up some of our news stories over here, and we're seeing all kinds of just images everywhere are coming out. And of course, we live in a world where nothing can get by social media. And so we've got a lot of bias out there. We've got a lot of propaganda going on out there. We hear that Hamas, for example, released 2 U.S. hostages today. And of course, that's going to look good in the eyes of a lot of people. See, it's like a humanitarian thing that they're doing. But many experts are looking at this, and right away they're saying that's not what's going on here. This could be very well, basically, this could be one of those let's try to look good, a little photo op, a little propaganda, so that if and when we see this and it appears that it's going to happen, a ground invasion from Israel into Gaza, how dare they do that when Hamas is showing such generosity by releasing 2 of their hostages? Of the estimated 200 or so, the numbers change a little bit. So while we're thankful that anybody gets released, of course, in a situation like this, we have to understand that there's a lot of games being played right now. And we see it across the board from many different people and many different sides. Things are a mess. There's such a mess that we can't even tell clearly what is what in many different respects and many different areas. So I want to talk a little bit about some of that in this video and just encourage you, first and foremost, to not take lightly any step of what we would just refer to as basic preparation. Okay. We have to be basically prepared in the very general sense, not get too carried away with some of it, but understand that there are some things that we can do. Now, I look at the comment section a lot when I look at old videos that have gone up, and a lot of great comments. Thanks be to God. I really appreciate the support and the encouragement. Many people say they're praying and they're on board, and I really appreciate that. And it was kind of funny last night as I was doing a video, my granddaughter comes walking in. She's not even quite 2 years old, comes in the door right over here, comes walking up towards the beginning of the video and caught that little moment. Then my son-in-law came and took her out. And she's a sweetheart, right? But she's one of the reasons I'm preparing. Okay. She's one of the reasons that I take this seriously, because there are people that are counting on us, right? Kids, grandkids, family members, friends, neighbors, people in the parish. But when I look through the comment section, I see great comments, great encouragement, and several commented on my granddaughter, which is pretty funny. If you go back and watch the video, it's towards the beginning of it. It's yesterday's video. But I can tell you this, there are many comments that will trickle in over videos, and I've been running into this for years, of people who just will, no matter what, find a reason to say that they can't take any steps to be prepared. Now, I'm going to, as I always do, talk about the course that we have. We have a course, the BR Coalition, at our BR Coalition website, and I'm going to pop that in here because I do want you to all have, let me pull this up, pop it in the chat box down here. I want you all to know that it's there. I want you to be able to go out and take a look at it if you're interested. And if you want to purchase the course, it's on sale through midnight tonight. Another 8 hours and 12 minutes at the time I record this. But again, if you're watching this in replay, go out anyway. I believe we're going to continue to offer some deals with it down the road very quickly, in fact, but it is 50% off right now. And that does end at midnight tonight, Central Time. Why do I talk about that course? Because it has so much concrete material in it to help you get better prepared. A ton of work has gone into that, and we are constantly trying to tweak it, add things to it. And if you buy the course, everything that we add to it in the future, you will get with no extra charge. Why? Because it's important to continue to improve the things that we're doing, improve our skills, and so forth. However, I get comments from people once in a while, and I completely understand it. Doug, we just don't have the money for it. I understand that. Doug, you're talking about things like water filters, and I do. I talk about things such as the Lifesaver water filter. It's a water filter slash purifier. It's an excellent product. I talk about these things because I think they work and they help save lives. How do you not talk about, for example, getting a good med kit for your home? It's going to cost you something. You're going to have to put some money into a med kit. Therein lies one of the number one expressions from people is, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I can't. I don't. It's just not there. There's some reason why people believe they can't take even small steps. Now, in all reasonable understanding, I get not everybody has a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money. These items, look, I've acquired these over years. This is something that you have to understand. One of the first things I bought was a standard little flashlight from Walmart. It didn't last very long, right? Some people are afraid to go into a Walmart. I understand that. Some people are a little tentative to go into a Walmart, but that's okay. We can work you through that. Okay, there's therapy. We can get through that. But I went to a Walmart. I bought a standard flashlight, right? AA battery type flashlight. And as time went by, and this has been what, 15, 20 years of things that I've been doing and learning, different tools, different things that work well. I bought many tools for construction jobs, and I bought the cheaper ones that later on I regretted buying because they were too cheap. So when you can invest money in a good product, of course, I don't care if it's a dishwasher, a refrigerator, a TV, and a lot of people have money for TVs, don't they? But they don't have money for a water filter. You know, a simple flat screen TV from Walmart, again, or some discount place may cost you a few $100s. Water filter here costs you 140. And water, without it, you'll die. 3 days. 3 days without good drinking water, and you'll die. And this is, again, one of those things where we have to discern and determine where we're going to apply the money that we have, the energy that we have, the time that we have. We waste a lot. We waste a lot of time, a lot of money. We waste a lot of our effort on things that really are just to entertain ourselves. You think about some of the food. That's another issue, and I'll get into that a little bit later here. But when it comes to food in general, the food that we buy, I know people who have said, I can't buy the good food. I can't buy the organic food because it's just too expensive. It is a little more expensive. Yeah. Yeah, but I have to buy the cheaper stuff. I got to buy food off the McDonald's value menu, like $1 hamburger. There is zero nutrition pretty much in that hamburger. There might be a little bit, but in some ways it's going to put you in a deficit in some ways, because there are more things in that type of food, heavily processed, really cheap value food. Sometimes there are more poisonous things ultimately in there. When they put additives in there, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, these types of things can be very detrimental to the health. So when we say, I don't have the money for the good stuff, so I've got to buy the cheap stuff. But if the cheap stuff is putting things in my system that are more toxic, even if it's an accumulation over time, then that cheap stuff can become more of a detriment. And in the long run, it's going to cost me more, because now I got to deal with maybe doctor visits to deal with the problems that the bad, cheap, value menu food has caused. There's so much evidence on this. So I guess what I'm saying here is it's important for us to take the time to really discern. Do we have really no money to put into some things to prep with? If you don't have, right now the course, our Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course, we call it BREP for short, acronym. People who buy the BREP course will call themselves BREPers instead of preppers, right? It's kind of cool. Okay, if you don't have $200 for it, which, by the way, we have 3 different payment plans for it. You can buy it outright. A couple different payment plans, 3 months, 6 months. Go check it out, brcoalition.com. And there is a 14-day money-back guarantee on it. And that's so that you can look at it. You can go through it. You can try it out. And if you just don't think you're going to get anything out of it and you want your money back after 2 weeks, we'll give it back. But if you cannot afford the course, begin brcoalition.com. If you can't afford the course, understand this. There are things you can do. Yeah, but Doug, I don't have money for a flashlight. Right? A $5 flashlight from Walmart, not the best thing, but it is a start, is better than no flashlight. Why have a flashlight? It's backup light in case there's a problem. Ladies, keep one in your purse. They're all different sizes. I'm going to show you one here. This is something I keep on my desk. This was a gift that was given to me from Olight. Well, it wasn't given to me, but I ordered several flashlights from them. And Olight, I love the company. It's a $50 or $60 flashlight. It is impenetrable. It can be submerged in water. It can be dropped, run over. And I have dropped it. All right. It's a great flashlight. It took me a while to be able to get to the point to afford one of these, though. But I did buy a few over time. And then, of course, they send you a little gift. This is the size of some of the flashlights you can get. Ladies, can something like that fit in your purse? Guys, can we put this in a pocket? All right, this is like a 500 lumen flashlight. Okay, it's a good little flashlight. You can find them. You can find them for $5. You can buy them for $100. They're out there though. And my whole point behind this is there are so many voices out there saying, I just don't have any money for this or that. I understand we're all on budgets. I'm on a budget too. Trust me. When I bought my first battery station, for example, a Jackery 1000, it cost about $1,000 with some solar panels, a couple solar panels that came with it. That was quite an investment, and it took me time to build up for that. But you know what I did? I canceled my DirecTV. At the time, I had DirecTV. I canceled it. All right, I canceled Netflix. Cancel your Disney Channel. Some of those things are a waste of time anyway. Have you ever sat there in front of one of these, like Hulu or Amazon or Disney or one of these, and you just scroll trying to find something to watch? Have you ever started a program? You get 15 minutes or even 5 minutes into it and think, this is worthless. This is a waste of my time. This may even be poisonous to my mind, my soul, and shut it off. Yeah, we do that sometimes because a lot of that is a waste of time. And sometimes we have multiple platforms that we're paying money for. $7 here, $10 here, $20 here, $100 a month. It could be $85 a month for something like a Hulu, whatever it might be. You cancel one or two of those, and that could be the answer for some of you. That's going to allow you to have money set aside for something like a really excellent quality water filter, which could save lives in a crisis, or just a decent flashlight, or backup power station, or even put it towards the course that we're offering at brcoalition.com. These are decisions that we make. So I get comments from people, and I completely respect them all. And I love everybody's comments. Don't ever misunderstand me on that. But when I get the comments from people who will say, yeah, Doug, that's easy, but what if we just don't have the money? We're barely getting by. I know that feeling. I have been running a nonprofit ministry for 33 years. Nonprofit ministry. I've lived month to month for years, week to week sometimes, where I would go out and what I would make in a parish mission or an event where I go to a conference and speak at a conference, and I still speak. I still travel publicly and speak. I'll be in Virginia next weekend, for example, and the following week I'll be in Wisconsin. I mean, I go around and I speak. And the stipend that I receive isn't always what I ask for because these are churches or conferences, and they don't always have the money that you're hoping you can get for it. And you want to be reasonable. You want to still convey the message. You want to evangelize. And so, yes, it is a struggle at times. And there are times when I would live month to month or week to week, or I jokingly say last month to last month, depending on how bad the month is. I understand all of that. And even when those times were tough and hard, I would still find a way to take an extra $5 out of this, or $2 out of that. Let's save a little bit of money here. Let's save a little bit here so we can buy something like just a decent flashlight, a piece of equipment that can help us in a crisis of some sort. And again, everybody's got to discern this and make their own decision on these things. I get that. I completely understand that. But what I really wanted to address in this video is, the title of it is we're talking about the times. And as things are unfolding, as the warnings and the prophecies are unfolding right now, what things should we be doing, can we be doing, no matter what our financial situation is, no matter what our access to equipment is? When I get a comment from somebody who says, I'm in my 70s, this is one example, not specific or exact. I'm in my 70s, I live alone, I'm on a fixed income, there's nothing I can do. I get a little, I guess, sad about a comment like that, because I want to be able to say to the person directly. And so I hopefully can do this through this video here. If you're someone who has been in that position or has that sort of attitude about things, the first thing that we can all do, and I know you're probably thinking I'm going to say what, is pray. Well, that's true. That's the first thing we can do is pray. But I'm going to back it up even one step before that. I'm going to say you can sit down and you can take an inventory and assess your situation, and then prioritize that situation. And then the first thing, of course, is look to God for guidance. Lord, guide me in this. Give me the wisdom and the grace to know what to do and how to go about doing it. Let me understand, Lord, what it is that I should be doing right now in these times. Give me the wisdom, the grace, and give me the means with which to do it. We all reach a point where we have to decide how much we can put into something, some effort, whether it's, again, buying a course like we offer at brcoalition.com, or whether it's just going and getting information off of YouTube videos, and we have them as well. on our YouTube channel, our BR Coalition YouTube channel, free information on there about storing water, about battery stations. And then we have podcasts that me and my son have done about encouraging people how to get through things like fear, how to find an optimistic view, and not just optimistic, a realistic view of how we can look at moving forward with growing spiritually, with a discerning process. These are things that we offer free. They're out there. Many people, though, don't even want to invest time. Exercise, perfect example. You know how many people I've talked to over the years about exercising, getting in shape, taking care of your health. Your body's a temple of the Holy Spirit, as it says in Scripture. Maintain the temple. If you're given the gift of an automobile, if God allows you to have a car, if you're a good steward of that car, you take care of that car. If you have a home, if you're a good steward of the home, you take care of the home. If you have a body, and you do, obviously, you're living, you're here, you're alive, take care of that body. Well, what does that mean? Eat better. What does that mean? Cut back on foods that are poisonous. And one of the biggest poisons in our world is processed sugar. It takes no money at all to choose not to eat foods that are high in the processing process. Eating foods that are processed, that are filled with artificial preservatives, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, even high fructose corn syrup, processed sugar. These things are destructive to the body. It costs you nothing to choose not to put them in your mouth, to stop drinking soft drinks all the time. And that's a tough one for people. They're addicted to their Diet Coke. They're addicted to their Dr. Pepper. They're addicted to all these things. All right. And it's difficult because we should be putting natural things in us as much as possible. That's why I always push things like organic food if you can. Why? Less pesticides, less chemicals, less toxins in your body. God did not design us to have bodies that are filled with chemicals, pesticides, toxins. And yet we feed ourselves with that. And then we claim we don't have the time or the money to change that. And I just think that that's not 100% true for a lot of us. We get addictions as well. Now, some would say some addictions are good. Prayer, all right, that could be something, maybe that addiction. You get the point, though. Some people get addicted to things like sugar. They're addicted to soft drinks. I can't tell you how many people I've talked with about this over the years. And I've said, look, they'll come up to me after a talk at a conference somewhere, and we're talking about spiritual and natural health. Spiritual health, prayer, sacraments, meditation. When I talk about meditation, I'm talking about things like Lectio Divina, where you read some scripture, and then you just go off into some time where you just spend it with God. That takes no money. We should all be doing that right now more than ever before. By the way, the church always recommends that we have a good spiritual book on hand to be in some way, shape, or form working on or reading. Could be a book on the life of a saint. It could be, something regarding discerning spirits, like something from St. Ignatius and so forth. To find a good spiritual book and start reading it. Doesn't mean you have to sit down and devour it. Some people do. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not a reader that goes crazy, just sits down and goes on for hours. I'll read a little bit here and a little bit there, and then I'll process it, pray about it, and live it out a little bit. Books like Imitation of Christ, that's a difficult one to read at times. But simple things, the life of St. Thomas More, what he went through and during dealing with King Henry VIII. The writings of St. Alphonsus Liguori, his sermons, that's a great one. I've read that one. And I'll go through it. I'll pick it up and I'll go through. I'll go to the table of contents and I'll pick this or that or the other thing and read that. Having a spiritual book going on in your life, deepening your relationship with God, costs you no money. It costs time. The type of time that a lot of people just aren't willing to commit. Taking care of your health, again, in many ways, costs you no money. In other words, choosing to put certain foods in your mouth over others. It's not as if you don't have enough money. You can only buy highly processed, filled with sugar and artificial colors and preservative type foods. No, you can get around that. I know that. I've done that. I had to do that when I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis about 12 years ago. Anybody understand Crohn's or colitis or any of that type of, it's a debilitating disease. I lost 50 pounds, no joke, 50 pounds in about 8.5, 9 months. And then when I had a relapse many years later, about 7 years later, roughly, I lost 25 pounds in 1 week. I understand what it's like to have a disease like that. And I also understand what it's like, no drugs, no medications, by the way, to use food to find the healing because God has created us that way. A lot of the foods that God gives us will help heal the body, and it doesn't even have to cost that much. So finding the right foods and negotiating that, navigating that, makes your body healthier, makes your body stronger. Your mind is clearer. You can think better. You can pray better. You can express joy of life better when your mind is clear. Are you struggling with depression at all right now? Are you someone out there who's dealing with some sort of heavy-heartedness to the point where you just don't know what it is and you wake up and it's a dark cloud in your life? I get that. I understand that feeling. It could be things going on in your life. It could be maybe the marriage situation. It could be the family. It could be your parents. It could be the way you were raised. It could be a number of those types of things. It can be the heaviness of the world. That can be part of it as well. It can be a spiritual matter where you feel oppression, and it could be some sort of oppression from the diabolical. That is a possibility as well. But for a lot of people, it's simply we're out of shape. We don't sleep as well. We don't eat well. Therefore, we're not prepared to handle a lot of what's going on in the world. And as the warnings and the prophecies unfold, the healthier and stronger you and I are, the better off we will be for not just ourselves, but for everybody. And a lot of that can start right now without costing you a thing except time and commitment. For example, exercise. I just can't stress this enough. The body has been made by God to move. You've heard the term use it or lose it? Absolutely. If I don't exercise, if I'm not out there doing something that's physical and moving and getting the blood flowing, and actually resistance exercise, something that with its stretch bands or weights or something that puts pressure against the muscle in the bone. Not only does it help the fast twitch and the slow twitch muscles, my video, I think yesterday, I went into this a lot about how it helps the bone density. We get older and sometimes we just think, this is the way it's going to be. I'm just going to get old. My bones are going to get brittle. They're going to break easy. You can really make that situation a lot better by the diet part, feeding the body, which by the way, about 75 or 80% of your health overall is your diet. But there is a significant piece of your health that has to do with your movement, your activity, your exercise. And for many, it costs you nothing. So again, when I hear comments from people who say, well, Doug, there's nothing I can do to start getting ready. Everything you're talking about is buying equipment here and there. There are pieces absolutely that will help, like a good flashlight. I cannot recommend that enough because if the lights all go out in the middle of the night and you can turn on a flashlight, you can bring hope to yourself and the people around you. There's no question at all. If you have to work on something in the dark, having a good headlamp, which I keep with me even in this backpack that I carry. Okay, we talk a lot about this in our BR Coalition course. Again, brcoalition.com. I'm going to pop it in the chat box again because I really want you to go out there and have a chance. There it is to get the sale price. Looks like we got, at the time I record this, 7 hours left to go, almost 8 hours actually. But when I go anywhere, I keep a headlamp. It's a rechargeable headlamp. This cost me about $12. This isn't even a high-end one. And it works fine. It can get a little bit wet, rain, snow. It's fine. Okay. It can't be submerged in water, not like this one can. Okay. This flashlight, but this doesn't cost very much at all. If I'm out working and I got to carry something, work on this or that, I need my hands free, I can put this on and I'm good to go. And then I can recharge it off of a little, charging cord that'll charge a flashlight or that'll charge your phone, which by the way, there are a lot of people out there say they can't afford a piece of equipment like a water filter or a good light, but they'll drop 500, 600, 700 or more, much more for a phone. We have got to prioritize things. I know without a doubt there's some people that simply do not have money to buy extra larger things. Then start with the small ones. Start with the food in particular. Start exercising and then get small items like something like a headlamp, flashlight, a rechargeable one. Here's another one I recommend. I recommend this all the time is making sure you have a road atlas with you. This is just a few dollars or so from a bookstore or order online. This is a smaller one. I have a larger one in my vehicle. And why a road atlas? Because if your cell phone goes down, okay, and your GPS is out and you're in a crisis situation, you've spent $5 or $6 or $7 or $8 on a good road atlas, you're still gonna be able to get places. So again, we're not talking expense here. We're talking practicality though, all right? And teach your loved ones how to read a map because a lot of people don't know how to read a map. Backup power banks, these range anywhere from $20 on up to $100. You have variety of price points on these things. If you cannot afford the more expensive ones, which I always recommend getting the better equipment, not the best. Don't always have to have the best. You don't always have to have that. Like I've got pepper spray mace. I've got several of these around, got it in the glove compartment of the car. I've got it in a few different places of the house. I keep it in central locations of the house so that you don't have to run to your bedroom or run to this place or that place. I keep this around. Now, some people right away, I know, are thinking, I just use hornet spray because that works well and it shoots 20 feet. Yeah, but you're probably not going to have hornet spray sitting next to your bed. Something like this that's small and compact can go in the drawer of your nightstand. You're not going to put hornet spray in your purse, ladies. I don't think it's going to fit so well. Maybe you got a big old bag, one of those $5,000 bags from a designer, designer company or something. Maybe I don't know. Somebody might have that, but most of you are going to need something smaller, and they come in even sizes that are half this size to fit in your purse. Not that expensive. $10, $12 maybe for something like this can save your life if you're being attacked. Can save the lives of those around you, like your loved ones, your children, your grandchildren, if you're being attacked. Something as simple as pepper spray. Small investment. It can be done. So again, there are a number of things, and we can go down the list, and I'll hit a few more because I want to help. I really do. That's what the BR Coalition course is all about. The Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course, the BREP course. brcoalition.com. It's on sale, 50% off right now. It's $199, I think. 3 different payment plans on it, 14-day money-back guarantee on it. Go out to brcoalition.com and check it out. Through the end of Friday, midnight Friday Central Time on October 20th, we have this sale going on. Why do I continue to encourage that? Because it is 4.5 plus 5 hours maybe of video that covers 5 main things: food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. And again, it doesn't even have to be a $200 or a $300 or $500 or $1,000 gun. It can be something as simple as $10, $15 pepper spray. And if you can work into things like firearms and so forth and tasers and all that, that's great. Okay. And we'll address those things, but we address many different approaches. We have 4 tiers in there. Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's, are you prepared for even 3 days, roughly 3 days of food, water, medical shelter, and defense? After that, it's 3 weeks, and then it's 3 months, and then it's a year plus. And how do we find sustainable water sources? How do we purify the water? How do we, if we don't have a filter, there are things you can do, and it's in the course, and there are many free videos out there. In fact, one of the questions that comes in about the Lifesaver water filter, I've got 2 different versions here, by the way. This one handles 1,500 gallons of water. Depending on the water, this will handle 530 gallons of water. So obviously, it's a little more expensive than this one. This is closer to 200. This is about 140. But depending on the water. So what we talk about in the course and what you can find free online if you do a search for it is, how do I filter water and purify it if I don't have a water filter, water purifier? And there are ways to do that. So again, the comments that come in saying, I don't have the money, I can't afford, I just can't. Sometimes there is, I don't know, I think something that hits us that kind of just says, I don't know, no matter what it is, I just don't think I can do it. I think some of that is a struggle with hope, and some of that can be oppression even from evil. I mean, look, the diabolical spirits out there do not want you and I to have hope. They want us to think that no matter what happens, no matter how many opportunities or options I have, I just can't do it. It's just too much. That is not of God. God is about finding a way to get something done. Even if there's trial, even if there's suffering, even if there's pain, God is all about, we can get this done. Even if it means sacrifice, which, by the way, is a lot of how God operates, off of sacrifice. So if we designate, if we prioritize, if we assess the situation, and then start acting even in little steps, take little steps. When it comes to exercise and working out, I've been doing it for literally 46 years. This is absolute fact. I was 12 years old when my sister, God bless her, 10 years older than me, bought me a weight set. Anybody remember Kmart, the department store Kmart? It was a little plaster set from Kmart. It's like 110 pounds. She gave me 2 little 10-pound plaster weights and a bar. And she said, you learn how to lift weights, and I'll give you more weight as time goes by. Now, right away, someone would say, well, it's going to stunt your growth. Didn't stunt my growth. I'm still 5'10" and a half, or sometimes 5'13" if I'm up in Canada. Small joke. All right, I'm still 5'10" and a half. I'm healthy. I'm fine. Nothing got stunted. And I started to lift properly when I was 12. I'm 58. I'm still working out regularly, several days a week, normally 5 to 6 days a week. Sometimes it's a 10-minute workout, but I'm getting something in. I'm training the muscles, I'm training the bones, I'm training the mind. There's a lot of discipline that goes along with that as well. So I bring that up again because there are people who will say, I just don't have it in me. Start with something. Start with 2 push-ups and do it 4 or 5 times a day. And you know why some people won't even do that? And I hope this isn't you. They don't even want to get off the couch to get down on the floor because it's too difficult for them, they say. Or they'll say, my bones get sore. I don't have the right. Look, that might be for some, but it's not for all of you. If getting on the floor and doing push-ups is too hard, do them on a countertop. Get on the countertop in your kitchen. Most of us are in the kitchen a lot throughout the day, aren't we? Get on the countertop in the kitchen and just do them off the countertop. And the more you lean into it, okay, it's going to change the angle. Will make it a little harder, a little easier. For some people, just do them on the wall if you have to. Just lean against the wall and do them. But start. That's the goal. Go for a walk. And once you go for the walk, go a little longer. Then maybe you're going to start doing a light jog. And then maybe you get to the point of using stretch bands. And we talk about this stuff in our course and in all of the training that we do with BRC, brcoalition.com. It's got a lot of information on these things. We have free downloads we give people on this stuff. All right. These are things that we can do. Again, I think the biggest part of the problem is we need to assess the situation. We need to turn to God for assistance. But we also need to know that God puts us in a position where we have to cooperate with his grace, and we have to be the ones to choose to own it. Therein lies a big part of the problem is we don't want to own our responsibilities when it comes to these things. We don't want to own the responsibility of even a good prayer life. Sometimes we can pray to God and wonder why God isn't doing this and this and this for us. It's okay to wonder that, but we've got to continue to reach out, continue to connect with him, continue to love him, continue to grow in the love. And if you're struggling with loving God, I would simply offer this bit of advice that an old spiritual director said to me years ago. If a person is struggling with loving God, tell God, number one, he already knows. Tell him that you're struggling and just ask him, Lord, teach me to love you. Give me the grace to love you. Give me the grace to want to love you. This isn't something that we can just create on our own. A desire to love God is not even something that we can even do on our own. Now, naturally, by God's design, we're created for God. We're empty without God. As St. Augustine says, the heart is always restless until it rests in God. There's truth to that. It's like the body is created 75% water. Did you know that? 75%. All of us, which is why we can go about 3 days without water and we dehydrate and die. And that's a brutal death. All right. So the body needs water, just like the soul needs God. And that relationship with God consists of communication, dialogue, somehow, prayer, meditation, again, scripture, spiritual reading, fasting, offering some sacrifice, mortification. Could be something as simple as skipping a meal, eating half the meal you were going to eat. Eat the meal a little later than you were planning on eating it. Don't salt your food on this meal or that meal. Even little things like that are sacrifices we can offer up. And they'll grow from there to pretty soon you're going 2-3 days a week on just bread and water. And you're praying not just one rosary, you're praying 3 or 4 rosaries a day. We grow, but we've got to start. Same with the workouts. No excuses for some of this. And it doesn't cost anything to develop a deeper spiritual life except time and commitment. It doesn't cost anything to change your diet except the commitment to not put in your mouth the things that are destructive and choose to put in your mouth the things that are healthy and nutritional. And yeah, you don't even have to get organic. Organic is great. Again, less pesticides and chemicals. But even if you decide to eat just salads as opposed to Little Debbie cakes and Twinkies and sugar-filled cereals, right? It's a choice. It doesn't cost anything except time, energy, and a sacrifice of, I'm going to give up this taste for this taste. But this taste is going to be healthier for me. And over time, you can really develop a great taste for healthy foods. I know that. I've done it. I know a lot of you have. So again, let's start by changing the attitude when it comes to, this is just too much. Oh, he's always pitching for money. Oh, it's always about selling. Oh, it's always about, I got to buy this and I got to buy that. I can't prepare because things are there's just too much going on. And I just don't have the time and I don't have the energy. And God hasn't given me that grace. And I hear this all the time in every side. And I'm not putting anybody down for it, but I'm simply saying sometimes we can all fall into the pity party. We can fall into the excuse making. And we fall into simply that thing called laziness. We get lazy. Another word that really applies here is procrastination. We put things off. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then the doctor says to you, you've put this off too long. If you don't lose X number of pounds or change your diet, we don't clean up those arteries, you've got 20%, 30%, 70% blockage. If we don't put a stent in, if we don't do this and that, you got 6 months or so and you're dead. And then we look at the doctor and what are we going to say? How did that happen? The doctors could look at us, and I know because I've talked to several, they can look at us and say, accumulation over the years for many people because of the choices that were made over those years. So again, this is encouragement here. Let's assess our situation. Let's prioritize. And these are the things, as the prophecies and the warnings are unfolding right now, let's honestly take a look at how important it is for us to be healthier, to be stronger physically and spiritually. Mentally and emotionally, we are stronger when our bodies are healthier. And when I say healthy bodies and exercise, I don't mean you got to go out and work on jacking up the muscles and you got to get six-pack abs. I don't care at all about those things. In many respects, they're not even relevant. They're really not. That is not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about treating the body as a temple of the Holy Spirit with regards to the way you feed it and exercise it so that it can, as St. Padre Pio's prayer on healing says, that my body may function the way you created it to function, dear Lord. God did not create us to be obese. He did not create us to be seriously out of shape. And I know this because even the teachings of the church say this, paragraph 2288 of the Catechism, is that life and health are precious gifts from God. And there is a moral responsibility, basically, the Catechism is telling us, to take reasonable care of them. Now, what does reasonable mean? Yeah, everybody's got to determine that and define that for themselves, I suppose. But in general, I think one could say that if we are treating the body in a way that is destroying it, excessive smoking, excessive drinking, excessive eating, eating poorly, sedentary life where we're not doing any kind of activity, all these types of things can affect such a negative, poisonous attack on the body. It can be so destructive that it's so important for us to understand that we have a responsibility to be reasonably healthy. That doesn't mean you have to be perfectly trim and look great in your jeans, ladies and guys, all buff and jacked up. Those are fringe benefits that can come from taking care of yourself. There's no doubt. Well, yeah, that's a fringe benefit of eating well and exercising. Jack LaLanne, the godfather of fitness, would say that when people would talk about fitness, he would say, hey, I don't always like working out either. He says, but I like the results. I feel better. I look better. I move better. I think better. Some would say, yeah, you got to die from something. And then they just go off and destroy themselves by eating terrible things. Why am I bringing this particular thing up so much? Because as the prophecies and the warnings are unfolding, you're going to want to be healthier and stronger, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It's going to help you get through these things. How do I know that for a fact? Look at the fire department, look at the police department, look at our military, look at the men and women in those different areas. Those that take care of themselves in shape, especially if they're called upon to engage in very physical activities, they do better in those activities when they are physically stronger and healthier. There's no question about that. That's why these different branches of military, law enforcement, fire and rescue will normally have some sort of bar that has to be met with regards to health and fitness. Now, that's been lowered in some places and it's been adjusted. In some cases, I don't think it's necessarily where it should be, just my opinion. I like to know that the firemen that are coming to my house to put out a fire, if I have one, are in shape and they can get off that truck and run through the yard without coughing up a lung because they're so out of shape. And I feel the same about law enforcement and military, but I feel the same about myself even. Because if I'm ever called upon, even at this age, I'm older. I'm not 28 anymore, right? But if I'm ever called upon, I can't make excuses and say, well, you know what, someone breaks into my house, for example, and I say, hey, you know what, I'm older, I got a sore knee, and I do. I got a bad shoulder. I got an old shoulder injury, okay? I just got a little bit of arthritis here and there. These are my reasons for not exercising, because I hear that all the time. Look, I got these things too. You can still do it. You still can. What am I going to say to the bad guy, though? Go break into someone else's house where the guy's younger who can actually fight back. I can't do that. If I've got to protect and defend someone that God entrusts to my care, I need to be ready to go. I need to be thinking how I'm going to do this. So it's health, it's strength, but it's also mental clarity and skills that I can develop. We talk about all this stuff in the course, in the BREP course, Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course. I encourage you to go out to brcoalition.com. All right, I'm gonna drop that in the chat box again one more time. Let's get that out there again. Go check it out. The sale, 50% off, is on sale through the end of Friday, October 20th, midnight Central Time. And then if this, you see this video after that, go check it out anyway, because we're going to have some sort of deals coming up even later, just not this good of a deal. Okay. And the reason I say that is because the times are screaming at us to be better prepared. Prophecies, warnings are unfolding, it looks like, in front of us. And we're being told in many respects, both naturally, meaning law enforcement, government, military, what we're seeing, the buildup in the Middle East right now, Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan. Okay. The border's been open in America for how many years now? We don't even know who's in this country. All these things are screaming at us that this could be a long, drawn out problem that could only intensify. We're hearing statements from the Middle East that it will most definitely escalate. It's screaming at us to be better prepared. Screaming. And we don't even know exactly how to be prepared in every aspect, because we don't know exactly what's coming, but we do know that Prophecies, Blessed Mother from heaven through Our Lady have said, I'm talking about church approved, and those that I say arm's length are out there, like Luz de Maria and this Father Olivero and others, who are saying that the times right now are the beginnings of greater tribulations to come in the not too distant future, months, year, whatever it might be. How long does it take us to get better prepared for these things? It can take quite a while. If you're out of shape right now, you're not going to get in shape in 3 days. You can go out and buy a bunch of equipment, get yourself a water filter. That's great. Get yourself a flashlight. That's great. Get yourself a bug out bag, built up, an emergency bag for your vehicle that's got basics in it, from everything like a road atlas to a small water filter. This is one of those things I keep with me everywhere. Little plastic baggie here that I keep it in. This is a $25 roughly little Sawyer Mini. And what this is the type of water filter that you can screw on. It's got threads in here. You can screw it onto the average water bottle, a decent quality one that you get from a convenience store, like a Dasani or Aquafina. Some of the cheaper ones, not so much, but it will work on some. It'll also work on the little reservoir bag that they provide in the kit. All right. And what this is, you can screw it onto the bottle, fill it up, or screw it on the reservoir, fill it up with water, drink right out of it. It's like $25. I don't go anywhere with that one. When I travel, fly to conferences and church events, I fly with it. This is the bag that I carry when I travel. All right. On an airplane, I have one in my vehicle, my go bag in my vehicle, that has another one of these in it. When I bought it, I bought one. And then when I had the money, I went back and bought a second one. And then I had a little more money. I went back and I bought something like this. You add to these things, but you get started, is my point. Get something like a rain poncho that you keep with you at all times. The idea of a rain poncho, why have a rain poncho? Well, if you think about it, you get in a crisis situation and you have to walk any distance in the rain and you get wet and it's cold at all. Wet and cold equals misery and slows you down and become very problematic. Decent rain poncho, you can get it for a few bucks, or you can buy a nicer one for 20 bucks or a really good one for 50 bucks. The versatility, the variation of prices, I should say, is there. And of course, the more money you spend, the better quality, but get started. I started again with the cheaper stuff, and then I built up to that as I could move forward. Small med kit. Okay. This is in my bag when I fly. I got a bigger one with a tourniquet and all in my bug out bag in my vehicle. But this has everything from just, bandages to Neosporin, things like that. So you have something on hand. This costs a few dollars overall put together. What I'm trying to do is dispel the myth that a lot of people have that you can't prepare because you don't have the money. You can prepare your soul first and foremost, most important thing. Should be doing that. We should all be doing that, especially with the warnings and the prophecies that we've been hearing over and over and over again. Second, you can prepare with the basics, such as even an inexpensive flashlight, a less expensive water filter, rain poncho, these types of things. We have these things listed in our course, and we have some of this listed in the free content of our BR Coalition YouTube channel. And you can find it, quite frankly, in many other YouTube channels, videos out there. There's a lot of research we've done. We've put it all together in the BREP course, the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course. It's all condensed, and we do it all through the lens, ultimately, of Christianity, of the Catholic faith specifically, knowing that the church teaches these things. And we wanted you to be better prepared for that stuff. For example, self-defense. This is an issue a lot of people have a hard time with. They say they would never apply force to a bad guy that might hurt them or possibly kill them because it just wouldn't be right in the eyes of God. And yet the church teaches, and there are 3 key paragraphs in the Catechism, 22, 63, 64, and 65. Go look them up. 22, 63, 64, 65. And you will read in there where not only is self-defense a right that we have, it's a duty. In fact, 2265 states grave duty if you're head of a community. Myself as a husband, father, maybe you're a wife, mother, whatever your situation is, you got kids, grandkids, family members. If you're head of a community like a pastor is of a church, he is head of that community. He has to provide some sort of protection for the community that he's in charge of. These things are in the catechism. And yes, it does state in there that you can apply lethal force, not as an intended result to take someone's life, but that may be an unintended consequence. It is morally justified. And this is in the teachings of the faith. And a lot of people have no idea about this. And so they don't want to get involved in things like self-defense, especially firearms, because it could take someone's life. And yet the church has never taught that that is immoral under the right circumstances. But that's got to be understood. And it's in our course. It's in the catechism. I encourage you, if you don't buy the course, at least go to the catechism and read those 3 paragraphs. Back this video up, see where I said they were, go check them out. You will be better informed, and you'll also have a better understanding that when you decide to learn how to fight, protect, and defend, it's morally justifiable. Now, does it cost money to get better prepared when it comes to fighting and defending and protecting? No. Can you get a firearm? That's going to cost some money. I've had people comment on that. I don't have money for a gun. I don't have money for mace or pepper spray. Again, these don't cost that much. You get the right size, $10, $12, $15, depending on what you get. Put them in various places of your home. And by the way, a note on that, when you put them in your home, like in your cabinet, your cupboard, don't bury them behind the green beans and a can of peaches or squash or something. Don't bury them. Put them in a place where they always stay, and you could go to them in the dark, open that cabinet, find it, or in smoke, you can find your fire extinguisher. They're in the same place. They're not buried by clothes or other junk or food, canned food or potato chips. They're accessible. By the way, potato chips, get the ones cooked in like avocado or olive oil. They're healthier for you, by the way. Okay. Other potato chips, if they're cooked in safflower, sunflower, those types of oils, those are carcinogenic oils. And when they reach a certain temperature as they process them, that oil can become cancer causing in accumulation down the road. Not always, but it can. Olive oil and avocado oil are healthier when they're cooked, when they're heated at certain temperatures. Side note on potato chips and anything else like that. But don't bury your pepper spray or your fire extinguishers behind stuff. Have access to it. That doesn't cost you anything to know that. So we can't fall into the excuse making that, you know what, I just don't have the time or the money, the energy. A lot of this is choice. If you can eventually work up to the more expensive items, yeah, it's going to be a help. Go in on it with your family. There's an idea. Get friends together and say, hey, let's get a community effort together and let's buy one backup battery station I like Blue Eddy. I like Jackery. There's a lot of good ones out there. I like those. I don't like that some of these are made in places like China. It's just almost impossible to get around some of that stuff now. I try to, though, if I can. I try to buy stuff that's American made. It's becoming more and more difficult. We know that. But if you get together with others in the family and say, hey, let's all pitch in a little bit and let's get a good backup battery station, then in a crisis such as, I don't know, a storm comes by, power outage, and you don't want the food in your refrigerator to go bad, right? You got a backup battery station. You might have medications that you need to keep refrigerated so that you don't die. There are some people whose medications that can be life-threatening if they don't have them, need to be refrigerated. Get yourself even a small refrigerator, a little more cost, of course, small refrigerator that you can run off a backup battery station. And that way you are able to keep your medications and other things that you might need preserved so that you don't lose them. These are very, very important issues to consider. And a lot of people don't think about them, unfortunately, until they reach that situation where everything around them is collapsing and they don't have some of these basic items. Okay. Before I wrap this video up, again, I want to encourage you, go on out. I'm going to pop that in there one more time, brcoalition.com through midnight tonight at the time I record this. So I've got quite a few people watching this video for 7.5 hours, October 20th, midnight Central Time. The 50% sale goes off. I really want to encourage people to consider it, go out, pray about it, look at it, buy the course, 14-day money-back guarantee if you don't think you're going to get anything out of it. If you don't buy the course, get the free stuff at least. BR Coalition YouTube channel, BR Coalition website, brcoalition.com, we have access to some free downloads. and they'll help you with things. We're working on a full, total free download on building out a bug out bag. Okay, different items that you can get. My first bug out bag build out was mainly from Walmart, a backpack from Walmart for $12, and then little things like extra Tylenol, extra Advil, built a small med kit out of things from there. And little by little, I added to it. And a lot of those items I still have. So you can do that. Getting a good hunting knife, a good pocket knife, and then learning how to use it. Paracord, a bundle of paracord, which can be used for so many different things. But then in addition to having these items, it's important that we learn how to use them. Now, these are little things. And you might be thinking, well, what does this got to do with World War III? I want you to break down World War II, World War I, any war, the Rwandan genocide that took place in 1994, and ask yourself the question, was there a blanket statement, was there a blanket activity, I should say, that basically just destroyed anybody and everybody at any given moment? No. The problems that people had were as varied in some cases as the problems themselves. I'm sorry, as the people themselves. That's what I meant to say. So we have a host of problems, and you don't know what your problem is going to be. I don't know what mine's going to be. You might be without water and need a water filter. I might not. I have water stored up in my house. All right. So for quite some time, I have many gallons of water in my house in various ways. I have some in larger containers, 5, 6, 7 gallon containers I can throw in my vehicle if I got to bug out and leave. And I've got individual bottled water that I purchased for $5 from the grocery store. So for people who say, I can't prep, I can't prepare, Doug, I don't have any money, $5 for a case of 24, 48, whatever your water is on sale. Try to get the ones that are in BPA-free plastic, BPA-free. That is a plastic that is far less likely, if at all, to leach into the water, the chemicals, all right? Far less likely. It's going to help you not take in as much when it comes to chemicals coming from that plastic. Don't store your water in extreme heat or in extreme cold, if at all possible. These are things we have in the course. These are things we have for free, information for free. Some of these things on our BR Coalition YouTube channel, or even on my Doug Barry YouTube channel. I've got some stuff on there. I can't encourage this enough. And I know I get different viewers at different times. And I know for some of you, you've heard this over and over again. But sometimes we actually have to hear things a dozen times before we act on it. You know that. That's how we are as humans. We're stubborn. We're slow to respond. Sometimes we procrastinate. We get lazy. I do it too. Sometimes you got to hear it over and over. And then sometimes you hear the message in conjunction with an event that happens, like, I don't know, Hamas attacking Israel, China, Taiwan, Russia, Ukraine. The thought of all these people protesting here in the United States where I live, and I don't know where you're all watching this from. Here in the States, I see protesters like crazy, supporting Palestine, promoting Hamas. And of course, do we want to pick sides? How about we just pick the side of what is good and holy and what is less violent than the other? How about we decide to pay attention to the reality of these things and then know that that might come to our door. And if it comes to our door, like it did in Israel when they went into the kibbutzes and they went out to that dance party and they just opened fire. And when some of these young people at the dance party were hiding in like a garbage dumpster, or they hid in their cars, or they even hid in a porta potty type of thing, some of the Hamas guys just came in and dropped a grenade in there and blew them up. That sort of thing comes, that sort of thing happens. Some are thinking, well, then there's nothing you can do, Doug. And I disagree with that. I disagree with that. If we learn basic self-defense, basic head on a swivel, basic firearms, basic working with the community, basic how to deal with a crisis like that, we can respond in a way that can be proactive, that can give us the advantage, that can save lives, that can lessen suffering, lessen pain. So as we see these things unfolding and we hear the message of being better prepared, and we know that we have information out there, whether it's the course that we offer, BR Coalition, whether it is free information that's out there that we offer or many others offer out there, growing a garden when we hear about supply chains and famine on the way. And we do hear that that could be coming. Learning how to use herbs for medicinal purposes. There are courses out there online. There are books out there you can buy. By the way, I recommend you buy books and don't just rely on the internet, because I guarantee you, if the internet goes down, a lot of people are going to be scrambling. It's kind of like if the phone goes down and we don't have GPS, there are a lot of people that don't know how to read maps. And so something like a atlas is going to throw them for a loop, but a lot of people don't even have an atlas. They don't have a paper map to know how to get from A to B in their own state, let alone their own town sometimes. So get books, books on medicinal use of herbs, books on foraging, knowing what is around your area, your geography, what you can eat in the forest, in a field somewhere. There are books out there that say that, things to avoid. There are books out there that talk about defense, making your home more hardening the target, I should say, of your home so it's more defensible, making sure that you have medical books, basic medical books. I'm not talking about how to deal with cancer. I'm talking about stuff like how to set a broken leg if you can't get to the ER because something has prevented you from getting to the ER, or the ER is shut down, or the power grid is shut down and the ER doesn't have any power. You get it? Get the books. Repairs around the house. They're basic things like this we can focus on. Buying a book doesn't cost that much. So again, for people who might say, I just don't have the money for this, start with the things that you can afford. Start with a $10 this and a $5 that, and even a $15 or $20 good book. And if you think that you just don't have money for that, look at the food. I'm willing to bet we can cut back. A lot of us can. I'm not saying, I don't know who you are. A lot of us can cut back on what we're eating, save some money on the food. Eat a little less maybe, and take that money and apply it to something that would be beneficial in the area of being better prepared, such as, extra water or many of the things that I've talked about. All right, I'm gonna start wrapping this up. I could go on about this stuff. I've gone almost an hour, and I'll probably do another video, I don't know, tomorrow, Monday at least. There's so much happening in the world. I want to keep up on it, but I want to keep encouraging. I honestly feel this is what God has called me to do right now. In my 33 years of traveling and speaking, and in my overall 40 years, I was 18 when I started doing evangelization work with my mom in, Wednesday evening CCD religious ed classes. But in all the years, I've never been more concerned than I am now because of the things that we're seeing, not only the volatility of things in the world, what's going on in the church right now, the confusion of our leadership in the church and the Catholic Church and other denominations as well, all the attack on even our gender. I mean, my goodness, look at what's happening around us and ask the question, does this not scream at us to be better prepared in all these areas, spiritually, first, foremost, and always, but even naturally? And I'm talking mind, psychologically, having a preparedness attitude, a problem-solving attitude. And I'll say this too, the better trained you are, far less likely then will you find yourself in a serious problem. The better you've trained yourself with discipline, and you'll get that from things like consistent exercise, consistent paying attention to what you eat and eating good things and not poisonous things. And when I say poison, I'm talking about just the additives and the junk that's in a lot of our food. You be disciplined in those areas, committed in those areas. You will find yourself stronger and better able to handle horrible, stressful things that may come in your life at any time, on any level. So we're trying to build up our strength, body, mind, and soul. We're trying to do this in a way that actually can be done with no cost financially even. So let's not make excuses when it comes to those things. There are things, yes, you're going to have to invest in financially. Again, like a good water filter, a decent flashlight, backup battery station, and those things can come. And for many of us, they can happen sooner than later if we decide to stop putting money into other things that are really oftentimes a waste of time or a source of simple medicating ourselves with something to make us feel better. A lot of people will comfort eat. They want to eat because it makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel better to have this, that, and the other thing. And that's okay once in a while. That's not a put down. But it's got to be done in moderation and self-control. That's where fasting and some of those things come in to help with that. It trains the body, the mind, and so forth. All right, I think I'm going to start wrapping it up here. Again, go out, brcoalition.com. I popped it in one more time, brcoalition.com. The sale is on, 50% off actually right now, and the sale is on until midnight, October 20, Central Time. And after that, if you're watching this video later, after that, then check it out anyway. We're going to have other deals coming up. I know the people behind the scenes who talk about that stuff, I don't have all the information on, but I guarantee you that's what we've been discussing and what they've been talking about is we've got to keep this going because the world is in a situation. We need more people trained up and better prepared, even if it's a little bit, just a little bit. If one family does a little bit here, another family does a little bit here, another family does a little bit here, then that means 3 families have done a little bit, which means everybody benefits from that if those 3 families can work together. So last thing is community. Build community with others. Work with others. Build that community. Okay, I'm going to let you go. God bless you and strengthen you all. brcoalition.com. Go check it out. Get that course signed up if you can. 14-day money back guarantee. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video Let's remember to pray for one another. Prepare yourself, body, mind, and soul. Let's do it now while we have the time and the resources and the energy. God bless you. See you soon.